Hey, welcome to the Movie Club. I'm Miro.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Davinia.
And today we're talking about the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Don't get a toothache.
Oh,
Why toothache?
Because it's so sweet and sugary, isn't it?
Okay. Well, life is hard enough, so sweet and sugary is sometimes nice. Yeah. The Grand Budapest Hotel was made in 2014 by director Wes Anderson. This movie was about a story, basically. It was about a writer who encounters the owner of aging high-class hotel, who tells him of his early years of serving in that same hotel and about the glorious years of the hotel and how he came to actually own it. And I picked this movie because I am from hospitality industry. I worked in hotels for many years and I just loved that environment. So when I first watched it, I was like, okay, this is a hotel movie. I'm watching that 100%. It was a wonderful comedy, I think. I loved the style of comedy, the characters. They were all funny in their own way. There were actors like Ralph Fiennes, Adrian Brody, Matthew Almeric, come on, William Dafoe, come on, Jeff Goldblum, a little appearance there. So everybody was funny, and I even laughed out loud from time to time. So what do you guys think? I am anxiously awaiting Kyle's punishment.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. I mean, I usually hate my picks. So
the wrath of Kyle.
the wrath of Kyle's coming.
You don't think I liked it?
I don't know. I'm always in expectation of 1 to 5 rating.
Do you think it's because it's your pick that I don't like it?
Yeah, you inherently hate me. You always snap at me when I speak. You are angry all the time. You beat me just like Davinia. So
That isn't true.
oh, suddenly you are defending yourself.
So, Miro, would you call this a personal matter?
No, it's not personal. It's just his inner hate.
Well, it's got nothing to do with if you chose it. There's plenty of films we've watched that you've chosen that I've liked.
Plenty is generous word there, but there are some, yes.
Well, I got to say, yeah, I'm not a fan of this one, to be honest.
So I was right.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'm not a fan.
Okay.
Where can we start?
Well, I would start in the setting. How about hospitality comedy in a hotel? I think the character of Monsieur Gustav, played by Ralph Fiennes, was a merger of many characters in hospitality industry. I know this because I've met many of them. There is always this pedant person who always wants everything done to a specification. There's always this people person who actually knows guests personally, that goes into their rooms. Maybe doesn't have sex with them like Monsieur Gustav had.
I'm sure some do.
For sure.
Some do, I know that, yes. But in most cases, it's just personal touch that they provide. And then there are also some that mentor other people to achieve better professional work. And also his superficial acting of Monsieur Gustav's character was wonderful. Monsieur Gustav was first introduced in the movie as a very dedicated worker and concierge. And he especially loved one guest, Madame D, who then died. And since she loved him so much, she left one of her great possessions to Monsieur Gustav. And then it came out that Madame D was actually murdered and there was a witness. And that was this other servant that served Madame D, Mr. Serge. Serge. Yeah, Serge. And then they went to visit him. He was in hiding. And then there was this wonderfully long scene. And Monsieur Gustav was insane. He just snapped. Let's listen to his meltdown now.
Well, what does it say? Where is it? What's it all about, damn it? Don't keep us in suspense, Serge. This has been a complete fucking nightmare. Just tell us what the fuck is going on! Serge? Serge? Serge! Bloody hell, they've strangled the poor slop.
So all of these setups, and there are many other jokes like this. I loved them. I loved them all. And it was very, very funny to me.
I wish I liked it better than I did. That I'll say that up front. The setting to me is great. The fact that they're in the hotel and you have these like very eccentric character, Gustav.
Monsieur Gustav.
Monsieur Gustav. I'm sorry. who's mentoring Zero. They have a great relationship. And the whole, like the entire beginning of him teaching him and showing him around and all of that was absolutely great for me. I think the comedy and the humor up to that point is really on point. But then everything goes out of the hotel, pretty much. The entire movie happens outside of the hotel, which to me, I feel that's what didn't make me like the movie. Because the entire hotel stuff is absolutely amazing. And I do understand having to go out to Madame D's house and all of that for the will, but not returning to the hotel sooner and have it like more events in there. To me, it's what fell flat.
Yeah. And then we can get into the fact that there's like 17 cameos from actors. None of them even attempt any kind of accents or to be different. It's just Owen Wilson. It's just Bill Murray being Bill Murray. And it's just scene after scene of a new famous person who you go, oh, it's Bill Murray because he's been in other Wes Anderson films before. So he's got to be here. And oh, it's Jeff Goldblum and he has a really funny thing to do here, but none of it really matters because there's not like a really strong overall plot. There's no tension in any of the relationships. I think it could have been great as like a closed room murder mystery in the hotel where you never leave the hotel.
Actually, right after we finished the movie, I looked at the poster because I remembered it had like a great poster. And it's sad because there's so many great actors and it would have been great if they were all in the hotel. There were other like clients of the hotel, or you can have like a private investigator there. If the murder had happened in the hotel and everything was kept indoors within the hotel, I think that would have been a much more enjoyable story for me. Because again, the cast is great, obviously. I would have just liked them to interact more with each other.
Well, they couldn't get all those people to be in the same place at any one time, right? So it's like, oh, we can film Bill Murray's thing next month. And the gags too, like some of them just really fall flat. Like you were saying, Miro, that monk thing, it goes on for so long and it's just so like precious that I just hate it.
The sad part is that I can see a scenario where that would have worked. But I think that we just don't have enough screen time with anyone because there's way too many characters. And we get like separate bits for all of them pretty much. So you don't get like the connections between the two developed, if anything.
Yeah, and there's no real meaning to any of them. Because it's all sentimentality. There's no real emotion from the characters. There's no really like emotional moments. All the stuff that pulls at your heartstrings is like, and then that girl died 2 years later. They just say it and it happens off camera and things like that. And that's an attempt to be like, whoa, that's so deep that it's just, and that's life. And so he just mentions it in well, it doesn't make for a strong film.
The superficiality of all of these relationships were also, for me, a reflection of what happens in a hotel.
But it barely takes place in the hotel or has anything to do with running a hotel. It's about a guy who's on the run, who stole a painting and is accused of murder. I mean, that's what the movie's about. It's not about the hotel. And it's not really about hoteliers, except he happens to be a concierge. But it's not really about that. That just is like the setup for like why he's such a little sleazy priss, right?
Yeah, from what I see, it all, for me, reflects how people act in hospitality, how relationships are in hospitality. And
I think you want it to be more about hotels and hospitality than it is, because it's really not. I mean, what did 9 out of 10 characters have anything to do with the hotel? Nothing. And it's not about them being guests in the hotel. Exactly like what Davinia said. Literally 90% of the film takes place outside of there.
Okay, so what? I mean, it doesn't have to always take place in a certain setting to be about that. Because Monsieur Gustav was the hotel, and when he left, and when Zero left his trainee, the hotel was just lesser and wasn't the Grand Budapest that it was while he was there. This is what hospitality is. It's about people. It's not as much about setting where you are. Of course, luxury furniture helps, but you can have average furniture, and if you have wonderful approach from people, even if it's superficial, because people are not stupid, they see that it's superficial, but it's just completely changes your viewing of the environment if you have nice people to take care of you.
As a film, do you think these are like well-rounded, well-developed characters?
No, because they just use them like one-time use character for a comedic purpose.
Yeah, and I guess that's where I have a problem with it.
This was not the movie such in depth, like we watched the Naked Lunch or
I mean, if you watch something like The Life Aquatic, it has a lot more resonance for me, at least. And
Okay, but it wasn't, as I said, it wasn't about deep character development and relationships. It was a comedy, and they delivered jokes that made me laugh, and that was the point of the movie for me. And it was, of course, in hospitality setting, which we already discussed is not in hospitality setting, but as I said, for me, hospitality was about the people, not the building.
Beware of films that advertise having 17 cameos in them.
And also, I do understand, and I think that was like a interesting point that Miro pointed out, that it's almost like everything's very superficial, right? But that's what Wes Anderson's known for, like the very theatrical approach.
Yes, exactly. And this theatrical approach gives you also those super close-up, those cheesy, this business card, this map. Let's look at it in detail.
It's not, no. And it doesn't have to be cheesy. But this is what I'm saying. This movie may very well be exactly what he intended to make, and that's fine. Maybe he's completely satisfied with it. For me, it gets boring in the middle because I don't care about any of the characters, and then a lot of the jokes start going in like a more outlandish, cartoonish direction that just doesn't really work for me. Like, I understand he wants everything to be artificial and perfect and groomed and zoom in on little dioramas, and he loves that kind of stuff, and I get it. It's just that I feel like here, like this movie to me is like someone who's trying to make a Wes Anderson movie and they've like overdone it. So yeah, as a series of sketches starring famous people, it's okay. It's definitely funny. So, I mean, we were both laughing when we watched it together.
Yeah.
Maybe the director was let loose for the first time. Maybe he was limited all the previous time. Just joking.
But I mean, he definitely like had a huge budget for it, it seems like.
I mean, again, like, I don't think it's a terrible movie. It's the movie that I've always wanted to love more than I do. Because, again, like, I do love Gustav's character, for example.
Monsieur Gustav.
Monsieur Gustav. I think he's pretty much, like, the only character that is well-defined and that has, like, real depth to it. He has very, like, several layers of complexity, whilst you check or see zero, and he's right away like the perfect kind of little boy. He knows what to do at every time. He knows how to be loyal right away. And by the end of it, he doesn't change. The rest of the characters are who they are, and they don't change either. And neither does Gustav, but he at least is a complex character, and you can feel that right away. Like, you can tell he's not just this superficial person. He's also this really perfectionist guy who's almost like single-handedly making the hotel run and be what it is.
I think he had the potential for depth, but it's not there. Like, he never even has like a really low moment.
To me, he seems like a deeper character, at least in personality-wise and who he is, than any other character within the movie.
Oh, because we spent so much time with him in the movie.
And we see like his many facets.
I just don't think we do. I think he's just as flat as the rest of them. It's just that, yeah, I mean, we want him to be more. I think the movie can kind of trick you in that way. Like, he doesn't really change or do anything.
No, that's what I mean. He doesn't undergo any change.
But why are you talking always about change? Why do they have to change during the movie? This was not a movie about, change or a great journey of the characters.
Yeah, if you don't care about depth of character, then you might like this more than I did.
Oh, jeez.
Well, it's true.
Again, we can all agree that there's not any real character development.
This is like sentimental. Like, you want to get some stuff, you want to get some emotions from the war in there. So you have a couple of shots of that, but it doesn't really matter at all. You want to have death, but you just mention at the very end and it doesn't really matter at all. But the way you say it coldly like that, we're supposed to get some greater depth out of it. Just feels very fake to me.
Basically what not ruined, because I still somewhat enjoy the movie. And again, I don't think it's a terrible movie to begin with, but that's just what fell flat to me. Like, I just felt robbed of time out of the hotel, to be honest. Every time there was a scene on the train with the war stuff going on in the background, it's just time that they could have invested in other more important scenes or
It's one of these movies too where it's only like an hour and 30 minutes or an hour and 35 minutes or something, but it feels like it's 2.5 hours long. And it's because they keep doing scenes like there's so many like repetitious, like Willem Dafoe is chasing Jeff Goldblum through the museum for way too long. And we keep seeing the same, like he runs a little bit, then looks back. Then here comes Willem Dafoe. And it's the same thing over and over. Oh, there's like, and see, I actually like the idea of like the secret society of, of concierges, this like the crossed keys.
That actually exists. It's called Les Clés d'Or, the Golden Keys, where members and concierge can ask assistance for help. It's not this active as it was portrayed in the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe they will not help you with the prison escape, but as he was saying in the phone booth when he was calling them, when he needed transportation, it is for uses like tickets for the premiere, 1 day notice.
Right. But like, you know, they do this gag, like he calls this guy, then this guy calls this guy, then this guy calls this guy, but they do like 8 or 9 calls and it's not fun. And things like that stretch out for so long. And there's a lot of the same kind of routines over and over. So just to me, like always, both times that I watched it now, like somewhere in the middle, I just go, yeah, it's not that interesting. It looks pretty enough. And I'm not going to say it's not, you know, well shot. And again, like, I guess I'll just say it's probably exactly the way he wanted it to be. It's just not my Wes Anderson film.
I think it was necessary to watch this. It goes well with your picks. When it's a super hard movie, you know, you have to think, you have to watch it several times to understand. And then you have this simple, non-complex movie where you can just half sleep and still understand what's happening.
Yeah, but it's like, couldn't it at least have a good murder mystery plot? Like, we already know who the killer is, like right away. There's nothing, I don't know what drives the movie forward except for celebrity cameos. And then they figure out the secret second will at the end by accident. And like the whole movie is kind of like that, where just no one's making things happen, really. It feels like everything is just happening because it's like this Rube Goldberg machine that Wes Anderson has set up.
Yeah.
Well, if listeners watch all of our suggestions, they need to watch this to relax a little bit.
I'm not saying it's a bad film. Compared to other Wes Anderson films, I think it is.
Okay.
You know, it's still visually interesting. There is some good humor in it. But this is for me where I start to be like, yeah, I've had enough of Wes Anderson. Like his whole little cutesy thing, like it's gone too far and like, But I'd love to be a cameo in one of his films.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to be famous first.
I guess, yeah.
Well, maybe after 100 episodes of Movie Club, we'll get there.
No, you just have to have like been in one of his films before. Because he even has like unknown people that I recognize from Life Aquatic, for example, that are in this one.
Well, Zero is not that famous.
No, I've never seen him before.
He played in Spider-Man.
Oh.
He's the
right.
annoying little, well, I don't want to say nemesis. He's just a bully in school where Peter Parker goes. He's just a comic relief in Spider-Man.
Well, here too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he's more central here.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
I think he's central as like that he's narrating it, but that's again my problem with it. Like, yeah.
Well, thank you. You destroyed all of my excitement, happiness and excitement that I gained from this movie.
Hey, it was very precious and cute.
Yeah, a nice, light-hearted comedy that, you know, anyone can watch and understand.
And for our listeners out there,
Tell them.
be careful because it may give you a toothache.
Okay.
Too sweet.
Be careful because if you watch Kyle's movies, you may fall into madness.
Isn't that? See, I think that's more compelling. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, is it? Okay.
It's like going through a Lovecraftian trip.
All right, let's move on to the ratings, guys. So I will rate this wonderful movie, The Grand Budapest Hotel, a 9 out of 10.
A 9 out of 10.
Yes, 9 out of 10, because it was just wonderfully ticklish, easy, simple movie that I liked with all of the setting and everything around it.
Have you seen any other films from him? Have you seen any other Wes Anderson films?
I'm not aware. I don't know.
Oh, that's what it is. I mean, with him, you should be able to tell it's Wes Anderson.
Oh, yeah. It's always that theatrical.
So that's what it is. That's your only Wes Anderson. Okay. Mm-hmm.
What do you say, Davinia?
For me, it's a 5 out of 10 because I like it enough for it to be approved for a viewing. But then again, I think Wes Anderson has like better films that he's made.
It's Davinia approved.
It's Davinia approved for like a B-wing.
Really, we did not discuss this beforehand. I also rated it a 5.
Kyle, 5 out of 10. That's quite high. I expected lower from you.
Yeah, it's just exactly in the middle. I don't hate it. And 90 minutes, it feels longer, but it will only be 90 minutes. So keep that in mind. Well, I mean, I think everyone should watch everything.
I am all for unleashing voting war in the public sphere on the internet to make it known once and for all. Is Kyle versus Davinia versus Miro? Who watches better movies? Who has better taste? Who is insane and who is normal? This, I think, that is the result that we will get from that vote.
Wow.
Well, I have a feeling people are going to appreciate my cult pit.
And there you have it, folks. You just heard a review of the movie The Grand Budapest Hotel. Our average rating for this movie is 6.3 out of 10. Tell us more about this episode on Twitter, @movieclub_pod. We would be happy if you would rate us as well on your favorite podcast platform, where you can also find more movie reviews by the Movie Club. You can join Movie Club and support us by visiting our Patreon page and subscribing to one of our membership tiers. The link will be in the description of this episode. Next week, we will be talking about Mar Adentro, The Sea Inside. Don't forget to check it out. Bye for now.